Ever looked at a sleek private jet taking off and thought, that's the dream? No security lines, no delays, no first class, just your own aircraft waiting whenever you want to fly. But before you start imagining champagne in the sky, let's talk about what it really costs to own a private jet. Spoiler, it's a whole lot more than just buying a plane. The sticker price of a private jet is the first reality check that separates daydream from down payment. For anyone picturing a modest splurge, the numbers come as a shock. A brand new Bombardier Challenger 350, one of the most popular mid-sized business jets, lists at $26.7 million. Even a used Challenger, just a few years old, will set a buyer back around $17.9 million. There is no bargain bin at this altitude. A step down to the Embraer Praetor 500, another mid-size contender, still means writing a check for about $24.9 million. And the ladder climbs fast. If long-haul luxury is the goal, the Gulfstream G700 and Bombardier Global 7500 both carry price tags in the $75 million range for a new aircraft. These are hard, non-negotiable numbers from manufacturers and brokers. No amount of charm or negotiation changes the scale of the commitment. The purchase price alone is enough to make most would-be owners pause, but for those who sign the check, it is only the beginning. The true cost of ownership stretches far beyond the initial outlay, and the depreciation clock starts ticking the moment the jet leaves the factory floor. Owning a private jet means stepping onto a moving treadmill of expenses that never stops. The industry's go-to number is $7,500 per flight hour for a mid-sized jet like the Challenger 350, a figure that quickly adds up to about $1.5 million a year if you fly 200 hours. But where does all that money actually go? Fuel alone swallows nearly a third of the budget, burning through $420,000 to $495,000 annually at current prices. Maintenance is the next big bite, often 20% of the total, with engine programs and labor pushing costs to $270,000 or more. Crew salaries and training typically claim another 15 to 18%, or around $210,000 to $270,000 a year, even before factoring in benefits and travel. The rest is divided among hangar fees, landing charges, insurance, and a grab bag of smaller line items, each one essential, none negotiable. An executive at a leading aircraft management firm puts it plainly. Most new owners underestimate the line-by-line reality. Every hour flown, every day the jet sits, the meter is running. The result is a cost structure that is far more than just a luxury splurge. It is a relentless annual financial commitment that outpaces most guesses and leaves little room for shortcuts. The real test of private jet ownership is not measured in the first year, but in the slow drip of cash over 5 or 10 years. For a mid-sized jet like the Challenger 350, 5 years of ownership at 200 hours per year translates to a total cash outflow of about $44 million. That figure blends the purchase price, interest on a typical 5-year loan, operating expenses, insurance, and the silent hit of depreciation, about 30% of the jet's value lost before the first major overhaul. Owners who finance can expect to pay $1.1 to $1.5 million just in interest, with a 15% down payment and a 7% APR. Insurance alone bites off more than $3.7 million over 5 years. Stretch the horizon to a decade, and the numbers only get heavier. Fuel prices rarely stand still, rising 3 to 5% per year, while maintenance reserves balloon as the jet ages and big-ticket inspections approach. Meanwhile, the opportunity cost of tying up tens of millions, capital that could have earned 7 to 8% annually in the S&P 500, adds another layer to the calculation. For ultra-long-range jets, the 10-year cash drain can exceed $100 million. Whether buying, leasing, or sharing, every model comes down to a decade-long commitment and a relentless pace of spending that few anticipate when they first dream of flying private. Owning a private jet starts with a simple question: how much control and flexibility is worth the capital? Full ownership demands $17 million to $75 million up front, plus annual costs in the millions. For those flying more than 200 hours a year, the numbers can add up. but below that threshold, alternatives quickly become more appealing. Fractional ownership, offered by companies like NetJets and FlexJet, allows buyers to purchase as little as a 1/16 share, about 50 hours a year, or up to a 1/4 share, which covers roughly 200 hours. A 1/4 share in a mid-sized jet such as the Challenger 350 typically costs between $900,000 and $1.2 million per year, including the share price, monthly fees, and hourly rates. As one executive notes, the real value is in guaranteed access, not just the aircraft itself. For lighter users, jet cards offer prepaid blocks, usually 25 or 50 hours, at $7,000 to $10,000 per hour, all costs included. There's no equity or long-term risk, but higher per hour rates and blackout dates can limit flexibility. Under 100 hours, jet cards or fractional shares often win on cost and simplicity. Charter revenue is often dangled as a silver lining for private jet owners, a way to turn idle hours into a steady stream of cash. But the numbers rarely add up the way glossy brochures suggest. Charter managers typically keep 15 to 25% of gross charter revenue just for handling bookings, crew, and logistics, slicing a big chunk off the top before an owner sees a dime. That's not the only leak in the bucket. Every hour a jet is out earning for someone else is another hour closer to the next maintenance milestone. When an engine teardown is triggered, sometimes by a single charter customer's hard landing, the bill can hit $150,000 to $300,000 and ground the jet for a week or more. During that downtime, not only does charter income vanish, but fixed costs like insurance, hangar fees, and crew salaries keep ticking along. One charter-focused operator, after an unexpected engine event, watched a month's projected profit disappear overnight. Owners who try to rely on charter to offset costs often find that after fees, downtime, and surprise repairs, their net earnings are a fraction of what they expected, sometimes less than 40% of the headline figures. The promise of easy payback through charter is more mirage than reality, especially when every unscheduled maintenance event threatens to wipe out months of slim gains. A private jet is only as reliable as the people and systems behind it. Every flight depends on a full-time crew, relentless maintenance, and a dispatch operation that never sleeps. For a mid-sized jet, a type-rated captain earns between $150,000 and $250,000 a year, with first officers earning $100,000 to $150,000. But the salary is just the start. High turnover, often 12 to 18% annually, forces owners to pay $30,000 to $50,000 each time a pilot needs to be replaced and retrained. Crew duty time rules and rest requirements can ground a jet as firmly as a mechanical fault, especially when trips run late or weather disrupts the schedule. Maintenance is a constant, non-negotiable ladder of checks and overhauls. An annual A check costs $30,000 to $50,000. B checks, due every 600 to 800 hours, run $200,000 to $300,000. Every 2 to 3 years, a C-check can cost up to $1.5 million, and a major D-check overhaul at the 8 to 12 year mark can reach $5 million. These are not optional. A missed inspection can ground the aircraft and void insurance. Despite all this, top-tier management keeps dispatch reliability above 95%, but only with constant vigilance. Delays most often come from crew duty limits, weather, or waiting on a critical part. The reality is every hour of flight is propped up by a web of salaries, inspections, and logistics that never truly stops. For owners, the jet's freedom comes with a fixed burden, one that erodes margins and leaves little room for error or shortcuts. A mid-sized jet flying 200 hours a year releases about 2,300 metric tons of carbon dioxide, enough to rival the annual footprint of more than 500 cars. Owners who want to counter those emissions can buy voluntary carbon offsets, which now average $97 per ton for high-quality credits. That means going carbon neutral adds roughly $223,000 to the yearly bill, on top of fuel, crew, and maintenance. Some choose cheaper offsets, but environmental analysts warn that only the most rigorous credits hold up to scrutiny. For those willing to pay, the carbon math is simple. Every hour in the sky comes with an immediate surcharge, and the decision to offset is as much about reputation as it is about the environment. Policy and public scrutiny are rewriting the economics of private jet ownership in real time. In Europe, new jet fuel taxes now add a minimum of 0.38 euros per liter for private flights, with a phased increase set to reach full rates by 2033. For a mid-sized jet flying 200 hours a year, that means an extra $150,000 to $300,000 just in fuel tax. The European Union emissions trading system is expanding to cover more private flights, pushing carbon allowance costs above 120 euros per ton, costing owners another $30,000 to $60,000 each year and climbing fast. Sustainable aviation fuel, while good for optics, commands a premium of $1,000 to $1,500 per ton, adding $20,000 to $30,000 to the annual bill for even a modest sustainable aviation fuel blend. These regulatory charges now make up 15 to 25% of total operating costs for many owners. Meanwhile, public backlash is growing. Media and non-government organizations are calling out the climate impact and luxury status of private jets, turning environmental compliance into a reputational firewall. As one analyst puts it, the cost baseline is shifting, and no owner controls the next round of taxes or the next headline. Private jets promise freedom, but every flight is a financial and environmental negotiation. With annual costs easily topping $2 million, convenience always comes at a price. As regulators and public scrutiny intensify, the real question is no longer can you afford a jet, but can you justify it?